Hi, everybody. Welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic Europeana conference so far. It's great to see you in person. And I very, very much hope that everyone can see us really well online as well. So welcome if you're watching us online. I'm really pleased to introduce you to this session of Europeana 2025 Heritage, Tourism and Tech, Innovating Through Collaboration. Before we start, I'm sure you've all seen these today, but I just wanted to raise Europeana's inclusive engagement guidelines that we use in all our events to ensure that we have respectful and constructive conversations. So by participating, we ask you all to abide by these. You can see them on the board now. If you need any support with any aspect relating to these, you can reach out to me in the room or also online. I'll be in the Zoom call under the name Sarah of my colleague, but that is me, so please feel free to reach out. We also encourage you to share your views on social media, so please do use these hashtags and let us know what you think. So first up today, we have a lightning talk by Maria Pahoula, who is Senior Advisor for Pleiades Innovation Cluster, which plays a strategic role in the DEPLOYTOUR project, which is deploying the Common European Data Space for tourism. Unfortunately, Maria could not join us in person, but she has sent us her lightning talk as a video, so that is what we will open the session with today.
In the DEPLOYTOUR project, Pilot 4 focuses on the historic settlement of Annos Syros on the island of Syros in Greece, a unique urban landscape of great architecture and cultural significance. The pilot brings together an interdisciplinary consortium of partners from across Europe, coordinated by Pleiades. Our objective in Annos Syros is threefold. First, to develop engaging cultural tourist experience. Second, to improve accessibility and contribute to the preservation of cultural heritage sites. And third, to develop compelling storytelling that will contribute to the formation of a renowned, authentic destination image. The first tailored use case focuses on data-driven cultural heritage preservation. We aim to identify and prioritize historical buildings conservation needs, assessing safety, structural integrity, and vulnerability to climate shifts. This will support sustainable urban planning and public safety while enhancing the long-term resilience of cultural assets. The expected output is an online web portal linked to a GIS database, supporting evidence-based decision-making by municipal and regional authorities. We expect an impact on cultural heritage conservation, public safety, data-driven municipal planning, sustainable and tourist growth. The second use case focuses on enhanced cultural route mapping. Our goal is to promote Annos Syros' rich cultural heritage through careful design routes that integrate architectural landmarks with immersive digital experiences. Virtual reality will be used to overcome physical accessibility barriers, ensuring inclusive experiences for all visitors. The expected result is an online platform offering curated points of interest and multimedia content, enable both B2B and B2C interactions and contributing to sustainable tourism growth. We are expecting impact in strengthening of cultural tourism, engagement of young visitors with the use of VR/MR, increased accessibility to cultural heritage, and engagement with local culture and stories. A third use case introduces a gamified tour experience. Visitors will embark on an interactive cultural journey across Annos Syros, solving historical mysteries while exploring churches, mansions, artisans, workshops, and panoramic viewpoints. Game design will be informed by heritage data, and the experience will guide visitors away from areas with high accommodation density or unsafe building zones. The outcome will be a web-based gamified app promoting cultural exploration, enhancing local business revenues, and optimizing tourist flows. We are expecting an impact from use case 3, especially on encouragement of cultural exploration, sustainability and avoidance of disruption, enhancement of local business revenue, and creation of a unique business product. Our pilot data sources are Annos Syros 3D digital twin, buildings pathology data, 3D models, 3.6 route network, boat schedule data, weather data, thermal comfort data, density of people, accessibility barriers, historical archive data, tourism points of interest, hotel prices, and events and festivals. Our 3D model is a point cloud of the entire settlement We have also 3D model from historical buildings that are also available, open and accessible, that we can reuse in our use cases. Uh, we have also 3.6 route network from a Pillar platform. We have the conservation data from the buildings. We have the boat schedule arrivals that we can use from Google Maps with an API, weather data and forecasts from Open Weather Map. We can also, and we will use the density of people within the settlement that could be used by Google, and accessibility barriers that we have from a municipality of Syros, the historical archive data that we already searched in Europeana, the tourism points of interest data, hotel prices, rates from data pill, cultural invade data from a website that works and called Syros Agenda. And we should say that to date, a wide range of partners have been on board, including museums, cultural organizations, municipal representatives, travel agencies, game designers, and local business owners. Open technical issues remain, including the implementation of connectors, the integration of diverse datasets, and the definition of sustainable business model, all of which are actively being addressed by the technical partners. Thank you for your attention. In the DEPLOYTOUR project, Pilot 4.
Sorry. Great, fantastic. Well, I hope that's been a nice warm up for the session that is to come as well. If you're standing at the back, there are lots of chairs. Please feel free to come in and sit down. Yeah. So now I'm really delighted to kick off the panel discussion today and introduce this panel: Terrific Transformations: How Digital Creativity is Enriching Cultural Heritage and Changing Tourism. And for that, I'm delighted to introduce Nienke van Schaverbeke, who has from an background in academic publishing, has been working in the cultural heritage sector since 2012. In recent years, Nienke has been at Europeana as head of collections, so we know each other very well, and has built up there a broad and diverse network within the European heritage sector. Nienke is now head of scholarly communications and publishing at TU Delft, and will be your moderator for today. So I'm delighted to give the floor to Nienke and pass on. Yeah.
What a treat to be here today and to shortly introduce you to fantastic panelists. Oh yeah, that's so helpful. Thank you very much. Terrific transformation. So we're at the Europeana conference. So many cultural heritage professionals all together working our way to make our beautiful collections available to all for reuse purposes. And where have we got to now, and how urgent and timely is this topic, and how fantastic it is to have three speakers who would like to ask to come forward. Deborah, Dolores, and Alexandru, may I ask you to please take a seat, and then we shortly will be starting with this panel and give you the floor to share with us some of your experiences working with cultural heritage data for tourism purposes. So I would like to firstly introduce Deborah, who sits here on the left of me. I'm going to give her the floor first. And also good to know that she's actually the one who came up with the idea to organize this panel. So all the credits are down to her. So thank you for initiating this great idea. So Deborah is a cultural tourism consultant, award-winning writer and producer, and founder of Cultural Roadmapp. It's an Irish company creating GPS-enabled road trip audio guides to local culture and heritage, and she will be talking about that today. Very well experienced in even been awarded a prize in October 2024. The European Cultural Tourism Network awarded her for her audio guide app Road Trip Ireland the first prize. So great work on their side, and you will learn a lot more from her. So she's really on a mission. She's a member of the Europeana's Communicators Community Steering Group. See, there are more people of this awesome group together here today. So Deborah, may I ask you to take the floor and tell us a little bit more about these fantastic road trip audio guides that you're developing.
Thank you so much. And just one correction, I did win a first prize, but not the first prize at the conference, just to be honest here. Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm going to talk about these audio tours, audio guides that I created. with an Irish-American woman who came on board, we began a series of 4 audio guides within a single app called Road Trip Ireland. The goal has been to have these tours for the entire Wild Atlantic Way driving route, which is goes the entire north and south on the west coast of Ireland, a very beautiful 2,600 kilometer rugged coastline. We interviewed, for the entire series, we interviewed over 60 experts, recorded about 200 hours of audio, and then the first tour for County Clare has been launched.
Let me know when you want me to click.
Oh, you'll click. Okay, thank you. Okay, a little background, how this came about. I lived in Dublin as a teenager for 3 years, a very formative experience. And years and years and years later, I found myself writing audio guides for museums, a presidential library, and other public spaces. And I had, for a long time, I'd wanted to write a guide to Irish culture. And I brought this ethnographer aboard that I mentioned, Dr. Leah Bernini-Cronin, and so she had studied for 8 years in Ireland, graduate degrees, and we had a hunch that, our kind of insider-outsider identity and experience with Ireland might offer a fresh take on the culture. Do you want to
Play the video?
No, not yet.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask the question?
Hmm?
Did you have a question for me?
Oh, well, in the context of the overall conference, you mean, right?
Yes.
Preserve, protect, and reuse is the main overarching theme of this conference. And in the context of these audio guides, so how does your road trip connect to all this?
Sure. Well, in the reuse category, I'll play this little video, which shows how we created the tours. But little hint is that the digital cultural heritage that we reused were the oral histories that we recorded and then uploaded to the web. Okay, play.
Yeah. You want to play it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to press play.
Growing up as a child in Spanish Point, some of the earliest bedtime stories that people hear are the stories about the Armada. I mean, it's in our DNA around here. In early September of 1588, the mother of all storms seemed to hit the Irish coast.
It was the storm of the century!
The Spanish Armada was blown off its course.
It was the storm of the century!
The seabed rises, throws foam up to heaven.
Kind of inlaying these different layers. The tours also go some distance in helping to preserve and protect cultural heritage. Of course, the digitizing of the oral histories makes them permanent, ideally, and those recordings can be put in repositories. In our case, the Irish Traditional Music Archive invited us to put our recordings there, but of course the Europeana Data Hub would be absolutely ideal for that. And third, just by listening, the user really keeps the cultural heritage alive, and not to mention through word of mouth. This could only have happened through collaboration. My team was researchers, interviewers, writers, that was me, sound designers, etc. And it was really an act of co-creation with cultural experts in Ireland and local heroes, characters that we knew from the area. Many of them had their own tourism businesses, so they recognized the value of this, and they were kind of off the main track of the Wild Atlantic Way, which is often neglected by the tour buses and package tours. Other reasons why I think it worked well, it won many awards, is the deep research we did to start. We identified the best experts to talk about the right subject in the right location. And then we had pre-interviews where we gained their trust, explaining the potential use of their content, and as I said, they recognized the commercial potential. And finally, the method that we used in interviewing was particularly an academic level of ethnographic research. And I guess the most salient aspect of that, in my mind, is the respect that the interviewer accords to the subject. And it happens to elicit really, really expressive, heartfelt content on the part of the subjects. Okay, click to. So that is it, and I'm happy to discuss with anyone later. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deborah. This is super inspiring. Maybe you want to share a little bit about how people are experiencing the app. What is the feedback that you're getting from your audience?
We one comment that I tend to quote is that a woman who used it said that it made her feel a part of the place she was visiting, because it's so immersive and gets so personal. So that was a great result.
That sounds so warm, as in, right, it makes you part of the environment that you're temporarily visiting, right?
Yes,
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit with us. If you have any questions, I may have time for one quick question from the audience right now, because we're very short of time. So, no? Then we continue. There will be later, so save your questions up for later, because then I would like to move on and introduce you to our second speaker, Dolores. Ordonez. So, thank you so much. Maybe you've seen her on the stage already this morning. So, Dolores has a PhD in tourism, data space and smart destinations, and holds a law degree. And she specializes in European community law, and then holds a master in innovation. It's like ticking all the boxes that she needs to run the tourism data space, I would think. So, you've heard her speak a little bit already this morning, but she will elaborate today a little bit more on DEPLOYTOUR, linking tourism and cultural heritage. So, Dolores, shall I give you the clicker? Then you can go through your slides.
So thank you so much. Well, this morning was a conversation. So what I wanted to bring here is a little more information about the project, because this is an invite also for you to be engaged with the project. So we are already working with Europeana. I think this is important to be mentioned. Europeana is an official partner of DEPLOYTOUR. So you will see. So DEPLOYTOUR, it's a huge project. So we are 40 partners, 13 countries, 60 million euros. We are only in the 7th month of implementation, but we haven't started from scratch. So there was another project, which is called Coordination and Support Action. In this previous project, what we identify is why a tourism data space for tourism is needed, which are the blueprints that define which are the technical architecture, the governance, but especially also the use cases, and also the interlinks with other sectors. And this was very important when we prepared this proposal, because I think we are the only project related to data spaces that in the design of the proposal, in the design of the pilot, we mentioned the transversality. So we cannot imagine any action in the tourism sector that is not linked with other sectors. So being cultural heritage, being mobility, being Green Deal. And sometimes, in many use cases, we cross a lot of data spaces. So, and this is a complexity that we are putting in the project, but I think we are a good team to solve it, and we have still 3 years to implement. So I mentioned already, so we want to build this tourism data space based on trust and security, and this is very important. So because sharing data is not compulsory, it's a voluntary action. But if you want to share data and you are a small company, you really need to be convinced that this is going to be secure and you fulfill the same rules that the other actors. Then we are speaking about the common European data space. And we won't put this adjective of common is because we follow the European values. And this is very important because now data space is a fancy word. So everybody has a data space. So, and then you grasp a little bit and they are data lakes or they are platforms or whatever, but they are not following this. So that's why the European Commission put to these 14 common European data spaces this adjective. So in order to ensure the data sovereignty, so in order to ensure that the owners of data are going to have the control of what's going to happen with data. And this is very important because we are now at this level of working with member states, big companies, small companies, and so on. But the next step in the discussion is how we are going to involve citizens, how are we going to involve people, because we are all tourists. We are tourists today, so we are tourists in our day-to-day, and we are sharing our data. And without our data, many decisions cannot be taken at the level of the destinations, at the level of the cultural heritage, on how to better manage anything that we can do. SMEs, a very important point, because 95% of the business ecosystem in tourism are SMEs. And not all the SMEs to the definition of the European Commission up to 250 companies. When you grasp a little bit, you see that there are micro SMEs, 2-3 people working in a company. So they are really, really small. They are really struggling to get digitized. They are very struggling to get AI data space and so on. If I go to a very small company and to explain what is a data space, it's so complicated. So we really need to facilitate them to be in this world because it's very important. Those are a little bit the activities. So we are going to implement this technical infrastructure. So indeed, we are going to generate a lot of documents. Most of the documents we are going to produce are going to be public, are going to be in the website of the projects once the European Commission approves them. We are now working in the architecture and we are working also in the governance. So the governance is also very important, and this governance is being defined together with the actors. Indeed, on the 26th of June, I invite you to participate in the stakeholder forum because we want to listen all the voices in order to build a data space that really represents Europe. We are going to ensure interoperability. It's fundamental. So interoperability is a key word. So transversality, synergies, complementarities are very important. But interoperability, it's really a key word. And we have different use cases, different pilots. This is the high-level roadmap. I'm not going to go a little bit very much in detail, but you have it there with all the data models, how we are working. Well, I put it to. So what we have done is, okay, we want to define an architecture. Okay. How can we define the architecture? So we have the technical partners, companies, technological companies that decide which is the architecture based on their knowledge, or we go to the actors of the pilots and analyze them, which are their needs and requirements. So this second option is harder, but we went for that. So what we have done is to go pilot per pilot. We have 5 now. And we have defined which are the data sets that they have available and which are the data products offerings. So for each data set that they have, which are the specifications of each data set? Because then everybody promised that they have data until we arrive there and they show me the data and no data there. And when they have data, in which formats? When you have this data, which is the format that they are using this data? When you can share this data, how you can share this data. Are you really the data owner or you are only a data provider? So there are a lot of questions that we have done, and this is something that we have already gathered. Very important to generate synergies and complementarities, not only with the other 13 common European data spaces, but with any other project and initiative that is happening at national, regional, local level related to data spaces. And I say data spaces, not tourism data spaces, because we really want to generate synergies with any other initiative that considers that can generate synergies with ourselves. So this is something that we are doing. Indeed, we have opened this mapping of data sharing and data space initiative, and it's a way to participate and to be part of a database that is going to be publicly available in our website and share with everybody. Those are the use cases. We have tried the use cases to represent a good geographical coverage. You see that we have a corridor, the Canary Islands, Andalusia, and the Balearic Islands. I'm located in Mallorca, so we wanted with mature destinations. We have Greece, and this is what it has been presented by Pleiades. We have Lapland in the north of Finland, that they are struggling on how to work with SMEs. So each of the use cases is completely different. And this is very important because what we wanted, and this was already presented a little bit by the video introductory, so I'm not going to repeat what they are going to do in the use case. But what is important is to analyze which are the synergies. Why tourism and cultural heritage have to share data? Which are the challenges that they have? And what are going to be the outputs that we are going to get? Who's going to benefit? How the decisions are going to be taken based on this data? Is for the private actors, is for the public actors, is for both? How is going to generate these flows of data? So it's going to be monetized, it's going to be for free, are going to be generated, which is the added value that is going to be generated. And this is very important because in each use case, we are basing the pilots in these needs. We are identifying actors. So there are, in each use case, there are actors that belongs to the consortia. So they are official partners of the project and they receive funding. But we are involving actors that they are not partners in the consortia. They are not receiving money, but they are seeing the benefits of participating with us. And the European Commission has asked us that in 1.5 years from now, we really need to open our data space to new actors. And we are going to start working with the pilots. So going from the pilots, enlarging the actors with which we are working, and then perhaps we are going to discover other pilots in other countries. So the use cases have been already defined, how the different technologies are also converging, because we are speaking about data, but data is very broad, and how all this data coming from social networks, from pictures, from any kind of information, videos, audio. So there are a lot of data that is there. How are we going to better use for the management and this combination of tourism and data? Because what we want is sustainability, is resilience, and we want to protect and to continue growing together in tourism, being very strong, very resilient, very sustainable, very competitive, but at the same time we want to preserve this for the future generations. So that's why we really need to combine data from different sources. Here you have the information. Follow us in the social networks, in our LinkedIn, in our website. We are going, all the documents that are public are going to be there. So if you're interested also in having data from architecture, from governance or wherever, it's going to be there. And after summer, we are going to start also with training webinars. We want to start opening to the community and to explain what we are doing also together with all the community. Okay, that's all from my side. Open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dolores. I like how you connect the data spaces. I mean, like we're here at Europeana, so a data space avant la lettre with bringing together 60 million digital cultural heritage objects. At the same time, these values, as you're presenting them here from the tourism data space, I think are very universal in a sense that how we want to be able to operate the data space. In the context of the Heritage Institute, I have a question for you. So how do you envisage the future of developing sort of engaging, immersive experiences in relation to the role of the Cultural Heritage Institute, whether it's in a city or in a region, as they are often quite traditional in terms of their role in society? So I'm wondering how a data space, whether it's a tourism data space or other data space, can support also the heritage sector.
Well, I think it's very important because at the end, who's going to visit the cultural heritage? So who's going to the museums? So those are tourists. So at the end, it's so when we categorize the typologies of tourism, so we have cultural tourism, gastronomy tourism, sport tourism, so wherever. So this is a part of the tourism industry. How are we going to better manage? So we really need to have data from the cultural heritage in order to know, well, what exists, because sometimes in our destinations there are a lot of cultural heritage that is not very well known, and this is happening. So in Mallorca, everybody comes for sun and beach, and nobody knows that we have prehistorical settlements, Roman settlements, Arabic settlements, Phoenician settlements. Nobody knows it. So why? Because it's not very well promoted, or it's not in the catalogs. So I think we really need to put all this data available in order also to show what we have at the level of the destinations. This will help to better manage the tourism activity, and this will help to better manage also the cultural heritage. So if you want also to increase the tourism flows that goes to the heritage, because at the end, the heritage sometimes gets money or gets funds from the regional authorities or national authorities, but sometimes you have to keep the heritage with private funds. And sometimes the entries contributes to preserve also the heritage. So you need more people visiting the places. How are you going to do it if nobody knows about that? So if we really are able to generate also these routes, and I think it combines very well with what Deborah mentioned, and you feel that the visitors that we have are part of our ecosystem, they are interested in our culture, in the local traditions, in our heritage, at the end, we will see as a part of our community, and not sometimes when it comes this mass tourism that we said, that a kind of invasion of our territory. So I think data will help us to take better decisions that will allow to generate the balances to better manage tourism and cultural heritage.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce our final speaker, Alexandru Stan. Coming from a computer science background, he leads many research and development projects, European projects in Intu's. He worked for Intu, and he's always on the lookout for new tech. That's also how we first met in the context of a interesting XR storytelling project. He coordinated 5D culture, demonstrating how 3D cultural heritage can be reused in different scenarios, worked on Weave, an interesting project exploring new ways to empower cultural communities, and he's currently heavily involved in several other projects related to 3D, XR, all these abbreviations, right? 3D big data spaces, XR culture, 3D and 4CH. 3D, 4CH. So Alexander, may you take that clicker and then go to your slides and tell us a little bit more about these fantastic postcards that you're developing.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. It feels like I'm collecting stickers with keywords. All right, so I want to maybe come back a bit to the original theme that Deborah also introduced, is that, and saying that data, while it is so key and vital, we need to bring it also to the citizens. And when you do that, we need storytelling, and we need to make it in. We need to find ways in which we can bring these stories in ways that are moving, that are personal, that can make an impact. And we had this very nice examples of the audio tours. And I'm going to bring you another example here about this holographic postcards. I have some with me, and I take this opportunity to give some in this area and another one in this area. All right, here we go. And I'm just going to say that why am I doing this? So it's important to say that. We have worked, this is something that we did as part of this 5D culture project, and which we are continuing now in XR culture, which is a new project on this reuse scenarios for 3D cultural heritage data. So we started to look at destinations that have digitized some of their cultural heritage monuments or other artifacts that they have, which are highly important for the region, but they were lacking, let's say, real use cases of what to do now with this data. What can they use this for? We all know cultural tourism is a very important sector in Europe. I think Europe is leading actually overall in the world. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's at least what I knew. On the other hand, not all destinations are lucky enough to have, let's say, really lighthouses like Chopin, Marie Curie, and Copernicus. So Warsaw is very lucky, but other destinations have also very important cultural heritage there and stories which are super fascinating. But they are not very well known. They're not the mainstream ones. And this comes a bit to this cases of this overcrowded tourism in one area, but really lacking, let's say, this kind of diffusion into the territories which are less seen. And because we wanted to work with the smaller destinations, we thought the problems which they have, which is, of course, the destination management organization, tourism boards, they're small. They have limited resources. They have limited know-how. So we really looked at something which is low cost, which is a low barrier of entry. And especially if you already have 3D content, because we have digitized in the campaign, and again, linking now tourism with cultural heritage and this different sectors, I think that's very important. We wanted to try to bridge this gap. So we came up with this idea, let's create a package which is low cost, and how these destinations can really create a wow effect for visitors, a package that they can give to incoming tourists, that they can create this emotional, personal connection to them, which eventually would create retention and would create a memorable experience, something that then word of mouth can create much more, let's say, long-lasting impact there. So we came up with this idea of this hologram postcards, which tell a small story about the cultural heritage. We deployed it in a small place in Slovenia, in Idrija, where they have a old mercury mine. It's no longer working. Mercury maybe is not the first thing that tourists want to go see, if it was a mercury mine. But it's industrial heritage. It's super important. And I have also a small video in case you're not yet able to see the holograms yourself. This should play eventually. Yes, it does. And I will try to say a couple of words as this is plays. I think it has music. Put the music off. Never mind. So the idea is that indeed we want to target also younger audiences. Younger audiences are more, let's say, looking for interactive digital stories. So this is why also in this video you see some younger people kind of opening up this nice package, which I hope you also get to see. And inside there are these 3 different postcards, each leading to one of the 3D models that have been digitized, and they each have their own stories. Now, once you do this, you see now you can see the kind of hologram. So you have this really nice wow effect. It's something that you keep afterwards at home. So instead of keeping a magnet, you would keep a 3D hologram of the place that you have visited. But of course, you get to learn things because you have a micro story, a small, let's say, web page basically, or web app. It depends on how you want to see it, because we did this for the mobile first, but it can be open on anything actually, where you do get to learn about the actual heritage there and how that worked. How did the mercury mine function? So in the case where it's about these kind of dams that were done on the river, how did that work? Where you have the kind of mill, okay, how did they pump water all the way down and all the way up and so forth? So there's a lot of explanations that you get to learn through this, let's say, fun little gimmick actually. And because this is not something that we can do alone, of course, we did this in collaboration, and it was very important to note here that we had collaborated here with the local museums, which provided us with interesting content that they had about it, that they had on this particular mercury mine there and the mill. So we basically looked at how we can take all the different actors which are local, which we can involve, and basically trying to build something for them. We have done this as a, let's say, as a prototype, you could see it in this way, but we have opened this up to the entire community. So we have created on the Europeana Academy, there is an online course, self-paced training course. There is a link there at the bottom where you can learn how to create your own hologram postcards. So it's something that you can access after this conference. Even if you don't have the expertise, you will learn in this course what you need to know in order to ask someone that might have the necessary technical expertise to implement it for you. So it's kind of a local partner that you need that might be more technical, but it should teach also those that really are interested but cannot really comprehend, okay, how do I go there? What are the steps? that's also part of the course. So it's not only a very technical course, but it's also at this level. Again, this was a collaboration, so we have collaborated, of course, with Arctur, which is an organization specialized in 3D digitization and storytelling for tourism, and also part of the DEPLOYTOUR data space. They're very active in the space. We brought in this part of the micro storytelling and embedding basically this kind of holograms into a virtual story, and together we made this happen with the museums and the local actors. In XR Culture, this is a new project. We're going to deploy this more massively, going to look at more, let's say, easier workflows that people without technical know-how can do this. And yeah, we're looking forward that we hear from somewhere that people have started to use this because they took the course and they were able to do this on their own. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexandru. Yeah, you can keep the clicker. We don't need it. We don't need it anymore. These were the last. This was your last slide. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to hear that through the European Academy, you're trying to convey also this knowledge and bring it across to the heritage sector and let it land. And I was wondering, in the relationship with the museums that you were working on in this specific project, did you identify some opportunities also for heritage institutions when they start on this path? Because they might see hurdles, but maybe they're not that high, or?
Sorry, yes. There are many hurdles because also these museums are small museums, so they only have a couple of people actually that are there, and they would usually lack the technical know-how. Also, we see that there's a lot of opportunity in terms of the content and the stories which they bring forward to package it for other audiences that maybe it's not their primary target. So, for instance, very practical example, when we got the initial, let's say, copy text from them, it was really very dry, let's say. So we had to kind of massage it and work with them in a way that is a bit more, let's say, adapted to a digital small story. So not something which is meant for a very expert, very engaged museum visitor. So there's a lot of opportunity there also for them to take up this kind of technologies. They were super excited about this, and they thought, oh, we could put this in the gift shop. We can do a lot of things with it. So really excited about what this.
What this will bring also in the follow-up project of XR Culture. Thank you so much. I'm looking at the clock, and I'm looking if there are any questions online that were sent in. No question online. So then, Dimitris in the back, I'm gonna hand you the mic because otherwise people online can't hear you. So.
How much does it cost to produce one of these packages that you just sent us?
It can cost under €5, much less than €5 to
like €3
produce.
So that includes like the packaging.
Because if you buy this in bulk, this small pyramids, these are off the shelf. You have different qualities and different levels. In the end, we didn't go for the very cheap ones of Alibaba because they were not that great. It's a French company that the one we went for, but still, if you buy them in bulk, they are quite cheap. Couple of euros for one, and then you have the packaging, but you can do that, mass printing and everything for the postcards and the package, so it's not as much.
And that includes the printed postcards as well? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So price point, I would say, if don't do that many, but still around €5, something that you will reach.
Okay.
But if you do a lot more, it's much less.
Okay, thank you.
The more you print, the cheaper the price, right? That's how it goes. Any other questions? Please don't be shy. Well, if there's one lady that's not shy.
Thanks. It's a very short question. You talk about interoperability, and I cannot be more, and I can't agree more about the necessity of interoperability. You have three very different, let's say, organizations. So it's private, let's say private-public. There are private companies who participate to the DEPLOYTOUR and a private company. So how do you think you could realize interoperability among your three organizations?
Well, we don't have to realize interoperability among us. So it should be a framework that allow us to be interoperable. So there are some specifications at the level of the architecture, but then the European Commission has dedicated 150 million euros to the middleware, which is simple, which is to ensure interoperability at the level of what we call it the glue. So how can we ensure that the data model that you have, that the semantic that you have, that all these things are being interoperable among themselves. So at the level of the framework, we are generating now the architecture. And in the architecture, we are going to put the rules on how data have to flow and the governance there. But then it should be a middleware that have to ensure this interoperability. When we are sharing data through a connector. And this connector is going to help us also to generate interoperability. So there are a lot of mechanisms within the data space that are contributing to that. I have to say also that interoperability is complicated. The European Commission in the 14 Common European Data Spaces, we don't have in any of our grant agreements an article that mentions you must be interoperable. So with the others. But when we go to the implementation, they request that. In any case, we notice that it's fundamental to speak among each other and to be interoperable. So we have created a specific task force in the Data Spaces Support Center in order to discuss among us how can we generate interoperability at data space level. So this means that the people from culture or mobility or language or whatever wants to be interoperable, if they fulfill the rules of their data space, they will be interoperable with us. So this is the thing which we are working now.
So just one second. Yeah. No, just you mentioned the 26th, the stakeholder forum.
Yes.
The 26th of June.
26th of June. Yeah.
How can we participate? If we can?
If you go, yeah, for sure. It's open to everybody, and it's open in the website. There will be in events. It is the link to connect. Yeah, in the registration.
The last one, I promise. How can we participate to the pilots as a cultural organization, if we can?
Well, now no. Because what we are doing now is to implement the pilot. So we are going to start implementing the pilots after summer. But in 1.5 years from now, we have to start onboarding new actors. So we have to wait a little bit. Yeah.
A little patience and then... Aren't we all very patient? I want to thank our esteemed panelists. The time is running out. We can talk forever. But not before I mention that we will have a follow-up conversation on this panel on the 3rd of July in a webinar form. So if you follow the European Communicators Group, there will be a third session on the same topic. So that will be very interesting. If you're interested, please sign up online. It's all free. So please join us, and please join me in thanking the three speakers for their excellent contributions today. Thank you so much.